me through this new format thing again for the intro?
Okay. You say, this is a show where we break down our religious, and then you say, like, something that we break down. And then I say something that break down. Like, it could be like, our religious confusion, or, like you add something to it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you say, and try to make sense of it together. And that's just how it ends. So we say, this is a show where we try to break down our religious blank and our religious and blank and try to make sense of it together. It's like a weird check-in. Like, it kind of exposes what we're thinking about, or like where we are, to people without us really knowing.
Fine. I feel unoriginal in that, but that's...
What do you mean?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Hey, everybody. Hey, hey, everybody.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Welcome to Religion the Podcast.
My name's Garrett.
Welcome to Religion the Podcast. I think my brain broke.
I think you're having a stroke.
I
Do I need to call someone?
No. Hi, friends. Welcome to Religion the Podcast. My name's Peter.
My name's Garrett.
This is a show where we break down our religious biases
and our religious confusion.
I'm confused about the flowiness of this new introduction that we're attempting to try out.
I am too. I want to stick with it, though. Let's keep going.
Okay, we're going to keep going. I think it's me. I don't think you nailed it the first one, and I'm having so much trouble.
I think you're overthinking it.
This
might be the story thing. Where, like, I'm overthinking the story thing, and this is the same for you. It's like you're just overthinking it.
We may have another issue because my headphones are about to die.
Oh, no.
It'll work out. I believe in us. I believe in technology, and that's what we're here. I believe in us. I believe in technology. I believe in my headphones, and that's actually what we're talking about today, and we're going to jump straight into it because, yeah, again, Steven from Texas, no more banter.
Yeah, we're over it. We're not going to talk about our actual lives and feelings anymore.
Never. It's never going to happen. Ever. But you and I had a funny little conversation the other day that took all of about 1 minute before you go, no. This is a topic on the podcast. Shh, quiet. You talk about it.
I want to give you some credit because you will often say something very insightful where I'm like, oh no, we should record it. And this is one of those moments.
That's very gracious of you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out how insightful it actually is.
You decide.
You decide.
All right. So yeah, I cut you off the other day.
So we were talking about technology, and we were talking about you made one of those statements that it's one of those things that it's not you, it's me, where you made like a grand statement where technology is, hold on, I wrote the actual quote down. I literally had this and now I don't have it. It's so funny that this is an episode about technology.
That we can't get it to work.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, I was on the note the whole time. Okay. So you made one of those statements the other day, and this is one of those things that I'm not saying, I'm not being critical of you. This is literally something that I'm trying to do less in my own life. So this is not me saying don't do this. It's me telling myself not to do it anymore. But it's one of those grand statements where you go, technology is just making everybody dumber. And I immediately,
Right.
because
I made like a
I make those statements of the like grand, like, uh, this thing in society is like so much of a problem for literally everybody. Like, I love to
yeah.
make those like really big, and they're just
It's
not.
like it's a grandiose like generalization.
Yeah. And if you're a CBT person, cognitive behavioral therapy, this falls under, I believe, all or nothing thinking, where it's
Hmm.
basically it's absolutely this way 100%. There are no exceptions to the rule at all, and that's just how things are. And it's just like, yeah, not really.
Right.
But you said, is technology is just making everybody dumber. And I countered to that point and I said, well, it's like it's a more complicated relationship than that. Because
Right.
this is one of those obnoxious facts that I spout off to people, and it's actually useful for once here in this conversation. But Google actually did a study where they wanted to find out what exactly our relationship with our phones is in
Hmm.
relation to taking photos. Like, what does that do to our brains, essentially? Because, like, as much as everyone loves to say, oh, phones are definitely having a negative effect on you, and, like, here's all the ways that it's happening, that's just
Right.
observational data. That's what I don't remember like the actual name for like the scientific term, but it's like circumstantial stuff that's happening that's not
Hmm.
necessarily indicative of like a real measurable scientific reality. It's
Yeah.
anecdotal. That's what it is.
That's it.
Anecdotal.
That's. Hmm.
I got there. um
You're like, don't worry.
if yeah, my strategy is if I talk enough, I will eventually figure out what it is I'm trying to say.
Yes, Steven from Texas.
Really, what we know now at this point is that social media definitely makes you depressed,
Absolutely.
and that there is a addiction mentality that takes place, even like a physical addiction kind of thing, just in the fact that you get phantom cell phone twitches if you have your phone in your pocket. Often, I don't know about you, but if I ever see any light glinting off my phone and a reflection whatsoever, regardless of if I've just looked at my phone, I will go check it again because it looks like something has happened.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, did I get another
Yeah,
notification?
exactly. Which is like, that's super unhealthy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
all dopamine hits.
exact. So, but and then like other than that, they did PET scans on people's brains with phones strapped to them, and figured out that even when your phone is off, it's emitting a little bit of an electrical signal that is burning glucose in your body. So your cell phone is like pushing energy inside of you and burning.
What?
Yeah, isn't that
This
interesting?
is like some 5G conspiracy theory
So
shit.
that's the only like scientific data that they've been able to really pull as far as like the actual effects of having a cell phone on your head, is that it burns glucose,
What? That's wild. I
right?
did not know that.
Okay.
Did not know
So,
that connection.
Google did their own study, and take this for what you will, because it is Google. Google wanted to find out what happens when you take a photo on your phone and what your brain does with that information, basically. And
Okay.
so they had three groups. So they had they set up the study in a museum where they had different groups of people go in. They had one group that went in and just looked at a painting, and then they're asked to describe it after the fact. And then they had another group who went in, looked at the painting, and took a photo on their phone, like just a big overview photo on their phone.
All
And
right.
then they had another person go in, look at the photo or the painting, and then take a detail photo on their phone, just like a little
Hmm.
texture. And they had another person go in not really look at the painting, but like just take a photo on their phone and then move on. And so what they figured out is that the person who didn't take a photo could describe it the best. The person who took the detail photo could describe it next best after the person who didn't take a picture but still wasn't all that great at describing it. Then
Mm-hmm.
after them, the person who took the overview photo came after but couldn't really tell you much about the photo at all. And the person that just took a picture and walked off didn't remember anything about the painting whatsoever. So, what that links over to is the idea that your brain looks at your phone as another brain.
Right.
And so it stores information in that other brain in the same way that, because I'm sure there are things for you with Katie where she goes, oh, that's something that Garrett does, or you go, that's something that Katie does, and your brain has just offloaded that task entirely over to that other person where it's not even really something that you think about. It's just like this trusted thing that's given over.
Right. I've read about this similarly with in the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. He talks about how like our brains are trying to do the least amount of work basically like at all times. So if they can
Right.
figure out how to like conserve energy, or it's like when you brush your teeth, you're not consciously brushing your teeth. You're doing it and you made yourself do it, but you go into this like default mode where you just like go through the motions, and that's because that's why your brain forms habits, so it doesn't have to do the work. So it's kind of the same thing here. So it's using like your phone. It's like legit cloud storage for
Yeah,
certain tasks.
exactly.
That's pretty like weird. So when I've taken pictures and not cared, I've just told my brain to like forget something basically.
Yeah, and store it somewhere else.
Weird, but cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I never thought of it that way when I said technology makes us dumber. But then, so that blew my mind. But then you also started talking about how we need to like make this technology like brain connection.
Yeah, okay. So, and this is going to tie into religion in any way.
Right. Because this so far we're not really trying to answer the question, does technology make you dumber?
No.
Because I mean, you just proved me like wrong in a way. It just
Well,
makes you
I proved you right and wrong.
right.
It's complicated.
Yeah,
It's not. That's not.
you
You're
prove me wrong in the
asking.
sense that like that's a simplification.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong question in a way.
Right.
If
Yeah,
if
exactly.
anything,
Exactly.
because I think that regardless of our opinion on technology, it doesn't necessarily matter because unless the apocalypse happens, in a week or tomorrow or today or right now or a year from now, whenever it is, like that's the only thing that's really going to stop technology from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're supposed to hit a point that we've maybe even reached for some of us where technology enables us so much that we'll be able to think about the bigger questions and like be able to like really focus in on some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is like telling of the relationship that we have with our phones where like we can be addicted to them and we can use them in a way that is like absolutely like self-parasitic and it's stealing something away from ourselves and our time all the constantly.
Yeah.
Or you can set your life up in a way to where you're making it work for you, and if there's a general scary but trust in the thing, you can
Mm-hmm.
offload a bunch of stuff to where you're not really thinking about anything. Something that I think about all the time is one of my favorite books, Be Here Now by Ram Dass.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this whole section in the middle of it that is basically this like very beautiful, illustrated, almost like psychedelic trip of like a meditation on life and reality and what it is that we're doing here. And
Right.
one of the beautiful things that he talks about is that like when we meet and we get together, it's just Buddha meeting the Buddha. And, we're just sitting down and having tea with each other as two Buddhas. And there's something
Mm-hmm.
very beautiful and sweet about it. But he talks about like, don't worry about what's happening next. Like, don't worry about what's coming up in the future. And, don't have anxiety about what's coming up for you, which is, that's even something that Jesus says in the Bible is don't worry about, what tomorrow has in store when it's
Mm-hmm.
today. Which, funnily enough, seems like some of the only like real practical advice that Jesus had in the Bible when I was growing up. I was mystified by a lot of the stuff that he said when I was a kid because, I've just felt like the pastors weren't telling you what he was actually talking about, and of course it didn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Exactly.
But that's besides the point. So there's this that he says this thing where it's like you don't worry about what's happening. Like if you have an appointment set for the future, like you will show up to that appointment when it is the time, and that's going to be the thing that you're doing at that time. But like you don't have to worry about that now. And so there's just like this ever-present existence within your reality
Mm-hmm.
constantly. And I think that you could get to a point with technology where you're enabling more freedom to happen for yourself because you've
Hmm.
pushed so much over to that other thing. It takes consciousness on your part because you basically have to be like the god to this robot that's working for you in a way where like it's
Right.
your intention, it's God's will be done through your phone, through your
Right.
iPhone, like you would.
So are you saying it's like a Jetsons kind of vibe where like you have everything like all your shit taken care of by technology? Like you're,
I think I'm talking
you
more about like techno Catholicism.
know. First off, techno Catholicism is a horrible European electronic dance group.
Yeah, that entered Eurovision.
Yeah. It's straight up horrible. But what? Second off, what? Techno Catholicism? I guess I misheard you. I think I'm hearing you say is that you leverage the technology to like take care of the low level like daily life stuff so we can focus on like the bigger questions at hand that technology can't handle. The
Right. We
like the
don't want to
logical
give.
questions and the mysterious mystical questions.
Well, you again, you have like there's this like and I'm about to tie in some more like the spiritual element to this idea, but like you have that like the dominion over animal and nature that man is given in the beginning of the Bible. I think that part of our unhealthiness with our relationship to technology is we don't realize that like the iPhone is something birthed out of like the abyss of nature in a way because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
something that's like necessarily represented out in the world. Like if anything, the iPhone came from Star Trek, which we also came up with in a weird way.
Right.
So like our relationship with it needs to be in the same sort of responsible, diligent manner of something that is taking care of something else. Where we like, it's like we have like this responsibility of taking care of our dogs where
Mm-hmm.
there's certain set standards and behaviors and like modulations that you have to sit in, and even though there's like certain things that you want to do with your dog you just don't do. Like you would love to just be like, hey buddy, come eat off my plate, like we'll just eat together, it'll be fine. And like of course you don't do that. That would be terrible. It would like screw up so much of the relationship of the dog in the house. And like we take showers with our hand halfway out, finishing a text to somebody. Like, don't act like you haven't done it, everybody that's listening. Like, there's occasionally days where you just can't put that shit down, and it happens. And I
Yeah.
think we need to have more of that relationship over it where, like, we are almost like a techno deity that's controlling this like robot manifestation, like human, like, so like we're God in the relationship, and we've birthed out this iPhone, but like we got to take care of the iPhone and not be like the drunk asshole creator God that's in, the Old Testament. Like we gotta be like the new diligent God that's like walking hand in hand, like helping success happen for everybody.
Right.
But like right now we're just like, iPhone don't work, and we throw it against the wall.
So I I guess I'm hearing you say use it more like a tool,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
don't
like
let it use you so much.
yeah, like leverage the phone techno spiritual version of yourself, handle it well, and like use it well, and not
Yeah, like integration
just
is
let
what
it.
you want.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's a really good idea.
Because
I
I hear
definitely
I hear too many people that go like, "Oh, I just like I have to get off of like just like damning social media to be this horrible evil thing." Like, yeah, it is a system that's designed to be addictive, but I also see like people's lives change because of it, and they're enabled to
mhm.
do great things because there's more of it. Can I think it's the start of the reconnection of humanity back into itself, to where we actually
Mhm.
are the structured thing that's communicating telepathically or through Elon Musk's techno chip. Because like either we're all gonna hit like nirvana
The
enlightenment and just
singularity.
psychically talk to each other, like, or we hit the singularity and it's because Elon is just like stuffed chips in all of our necks. Like,
Right.
chip me up, Elon.
Chip me up, Elon. I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to, as much as okay, as much as it annoys me to have a phone and to be like all the downfall that comes with smartphone and the technology times we're in, I don't want to go backwards,
Oh, I don't either.
which I think is super telling in a way, because I don't want to go back to having like a flip phone and an iPhone, or sorry, an iPod, and having like sync my music and stuff. Like, I'm perfectly happy carrying around like this supercomputer in my pocket and taking like quite great photos and having, music whenever I want.
Yeah,
Like any movie you can just pull up on your phone. Like anything
it's
you
why
can pull
it's
up on your phone.
we definitely have gotten used to it.
And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think that if we have to figure out a way for it to be like to make money, I guess. And the way some of the social parts have been engineered to make money is that they keep you addicted to it, so you stay engaged. I mean, they basically just suck all your attention, which is why I kind of agreed with one of the points that Social Dilemma documentary made, was that they should be charged for how much like data they process, and not like instead of paying taxes, that's like what the tax would be for these giant tech companies. It's like
Interesting.
they pay more money on all the data that they process, so it like discourages them in a way from like taking advantage of like
I
people's
like that.
attention.
That's a good idea.
It makes a lot of sense, because I mean that's the hard part, right? Is like, to your point. All right, like, I wouldn't have a son if we didn't have the technology that we have today. I mean, that's just the reality of it. We wouldn't be able to do this podcast if we didn't have technology the way we have it today.
We do that, like, we're doing this miles and miles and like what, like 40, 50, 60 miles from each other.
I think we're like 30 something miles away from each other.
Oh, sorry. And it's easy.
It's so easy. I was definitely wrong when I said technology makes you dumber. I was not looking at it in this way where you I know I like what you said about you can use this you can use technology to like free you up in a way to think like focus your attention on other things. And I've never thought of it that way. So in
Well,
a way it makes you smarter.
I think yes and no. I don't see. I don't think it's like a yes. Again, I
It's
think
like a
it's like
both and.
so. I think it's
The capacity to make you smarter is there, just along with the capacity to make you dumber is also there. And it's how
right.
you choose to use it.
It's the pure double edged sword. I don't. I wish there was a term. I have struggled googly searching this, but there's this idea that if it can't hurt you, it can't help you, and that does seem to be
You've talked about this. It's like the Tim Ferriss biological cost
yeah,
idea
like
that
biological lunch idea. Like there's no way like you there's a cost to literally everything, but the cost to something helping you uh is that it can potentially go the other way and be incredibly dangerous. And that seems to be
hmm
something that is prevalent in religion is that the stuff that is really helpful is also the stuff that's the easiest to go, oh, I'm just going to like the thing that we talked about in the podcast before this where you would like sit and discuss ideas with a group of other people, like you would do the readings in public with others and discuss them.
hmm
um Hang on, I lost my point. um
biological cost.
yeah, damn, that slipped. Lucy, help me out. Damn, yo, that just like got removed
It
from
went
my
out.
brain. Mm-hmm.
I can pick up with another thought.
Okay.
It makes me think about um there's this idea that there's a lot of death that has to happen and for life to happen. Think about how many things had to die for you to just have like coffee.
Right.
Like just living like life had to die so that you could continue to like live or just have, you know, your your coffee every morning. And it's I'm not saying that like obviously there's but there's it's the same thing where like you have to have there's some sort of cost associated with like living and existing and the same thing with like
Oh yeah,
there's a
okay.
cost for knowing.
Yeah. So like the technology is going to be helpful depending on what you're using it for, but it's also like, well, it's going to be very it's and as soon as like we start talking about like implanting stuff inside of us, like the casualties are going to be there. Like there's just going to be people that just completely lose their minds because they're not
hmm
able to handle the thing. But I think that ultimately humanity is being asked to do something greater than what we're doing now, and that technology is going to be a boon for that thing and not a
hmm
hindrance against it. Um, but I think that's going to require, and I'm not sure if like, I think we, and that's why it would be great to like get out in this lifetime. Um, I think we are gonna see the beginning of whatever the next stage is, and I think the next stage is gonna be like real tricky. Uh, as far as like what we start evolving, because I really do think that we're just gonna be in everybody else's heads. That like that's how we figure out how to solve our problems. Is that like we have to just have like
We just
empathy
have to have
from
that
the purest standpoint.
forced
Yeah.
yeah forced empathy through hooking into the simulation or whatever. I mean, we've all seen
Yeah.
Black Mirror. It's like the episode where the person's paralyzed and they meet up in the simulation that everyone goes to when they die. Like they
Yeah.
can go hang out at the beach, and that's like their version of heaven. I don't know if I see myself opting into that. I'm not really interested. Um, yeah, not really interested in joining brains with you. No offense.
Yeah.
Like, I have enough problems dealing with the person, the Wizard of Oz, like the guy behind the curtain. Like, I have enough problems with that guy. I don't need to add everyone else's person behind the curtain, like influencing me.
Which
And
is
then,
again why I think it's like the next stage is there's probably gonna have to be a certain amount of personal bullshit that's dealt with before
right.
we.
And you can see too, like now how this we're so uh we're so in put so much value place so much value on engagement right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? That it's even affecting, like, you can see like the church world, um really, like lots of churches, lots of like religious things are trying. It's the same thing. It's like, what do we have to do to keep engagement? And it starts to skew the message that's being sent. You know, there's just something. There's something there. I don't know. The monetization side of getting an implant in your head freaks me out. Like, okay, imagine that you have some sort of like implant that makes you stronger, but like if you don't pay, if your credit card expires, it like doesn't work, or you'll have like you need like eyesight and you can see to all this shit, but then like you don't pay into it anymore. Like they hold your body hostage from you. That could be a thing.
Ugh, that's
Or like,
scary.
what if? Okay, what if there's a cult in the future they're like a religious cult, and in order to like, they send you the knowledge over your like implant, right? So you get all your like spiritual wisdom and shit through the implant. But then if you don't keep buying into their shit and donating, they like turn all of it off for you, or like cut you in and out of different experiences with an implant.
Ugh.
And it's just like, we start to think of it that way. It's like, no thanks.
Yeah, I'm good without that.
I'll be in control, thank you. I guess that's also one of my fears. Like, what I've told Katie that if like I got ALS or something like that, or like I'd be trapped in my own body, I would have a hard time like staying that way. I understand why people, when they get diagnosed with that, they decide to like opt out and get out of here
Oh,
sooner
totally.
than later, because it's like, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't know if I want to get trapped in my body either. And just the fact giving someone control over that is cruel. Like, I read another article where they were talking about how they might be able to do like drug induced prisons where people are in like drug induced comas for like 15 minutes and shit like that. But to them, it feels like thousands of years. That seems cruel. It's like hell.
Yeah, no, thank you. I've had personal experience in a couple of those drug-induced prisons, and
Yeah.
that was just from accidental shit, not intentional. I can't imagine.
Yeah. Punishment? No, thank you. No,
Uh,
mind punishment? No, thanks. Been there. Don't need it happening to me.
it sounds
Anyways, I have
awful.
no idea how I got down this wormhole.
Yeah, I have no, I don't, I think that there's something amazing around the corner for humanity. I think that like we are definitely in some sort of metamorphosis, cliche caterpillar and a butterfly. But I don't think I really need to know what that is to feel like we're moving forward in a positive direction.
Hmm.
And I think that there is a particularly now, there's sort of an easiness to latch onto a glum attitude about the future of humanity. But I think that, like, for all the stuff that seems apparently bad, it is almost like course correct in a way that's better than it was before.
Hmm.
And I don't think we can necessarily claim to have any knowledge or understanding over what is good or what is bad for humanity moving forward in the future, only just like an approximation of either one based on stuff that's happened in the past. And so there's almost like an untetheredness that you start to feel as you float forward in the future, where you go like, well, this is like history happening in every single moment.
Right.
And there's like a dizzying effect that can kind of have. And I don't know, like, I think for me, I like having these kind of random and offbeat discussions, but at the same time, you have to remind yourself, like, don't get dizzy. Like, the world's spinning, but don't get dizzy.
No, that's. I think that's really wise. I think that's wise to say. It's just like it's interesting to talk about, but like don't let it affect you too much.
It's tomorrow speak. It's not now. Focus on the right now.
Exactly.
This is the equivalent of when you go to Disney and whatever that part of it, and it's like Tomorrow World, and there's that like
Tomorrowland.
animatronic Abraham Lincoln that's like has his eyeballs falling out of his sockets.
There's there's a show, a ride at Disney called the Carousel of Progress in Tomorrowland, and it takes you through like the turn of the century to now, or supposedly like the future. And when you get to the future, they're like telling their oven to turn on using like voice commands, and they have virtual reality stuff, and it's all like very 80s. And you're just like, we have all this. Like, you don't
That's
even
really
care.
funny.
It doesn't even look like the future anymore because it's like, oh, this is all right now. Like
Wow.
playing virtual reality with grandma, like while the family's in the kitchen, like cooking dinner and telling Alexa to do shit. So, like,
Look at this hoe. Why is she barking right at the end?
I think she wants you to be done. Is it time for WAOK? Well,
Thank you for spelling it.
yeah, I know when I say it, my dog freaks out. So I was trying to not. I just see like back paw and head just like right next to each other. Um, but yeah, I know. I think that's wise. It's like it's fun to talk about the future, but like that's it. It's fun to talk about. You can't really do much else with it other than just wait and see what happens, and then that's kind of it.
Pretty much.
Well, thanks for listening, y'all.
Yeah, thanks everybody. This was a fun little excursion down thought experiment lane, and I think it was fun just getting into like the nitty gritty of like one question.
It was. So if you have something about this, a thought about does technology make us dumber, or I mean, honestly, really how technology can get into like affecting religion, and you want to talk about that, shoot us a message on Instagram.
Yeah, if you have any ideas for techno Catholicism, so we can help make that a real thing and lead robot.
And if you have any
Christ
ideas
into
for like the Jesus challenge,
oh yeah, that's a great idea.
send us those.
All right, everybody, this was a fun one. We'll see. Hit us up on Instagram and send us more 1-star reviews, please.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Join our cult.
Join. Bye.